So the first one we have today, if you guys have any questions or anything, you can put it in the chat, and then someone will help answer it. But let me get going on this. Ed maps or ED maps, this is one that I don't use super often, but I know Chris uses this one a lot. This is used to kind of track invasives. Let me clear my screen a little bit. Um, and it's kind of citizen science sort of a thing. So there's a lot of different features on here. The main one, we could like the map. Let me click on that real quick. So you can search up by species. Some of these like Canada thistle, there's almost 300,000 records on just this website for that. Um, let's look up a cool one. Um, I mean, not a cool invasive, but kind of cool how you can see how it traveled. So this is Japanese chaff flower. Um, so people can report sightings of invasives, and then people can go in and then can like confirm it. So chaff flower came in from Ohio, I believe, or Virginia, somewhere over there, but it traveled down the Ohio River. So you can kind of see on my screen, the red is where it's been reported. The blue is where it's been reported, but it's been um, proven that it's not that. And then the yellow is where it's been treated. It kind of started in this general area and it's kind of moved south down the Ohio into the Mississippi, heading that flower. So if we zoom in on Illinois, you can see we have it all along the Ohio down here. And this is kind of a newer invasive. It's kind of a way to track them. You can also report sightings yourself, and you can also learn kind of more about the species. So if you go to species information, we can look up calf flower again. And then so it'll kind of give you a description of it, the flowers, the foliage, the fruit, and then it also gives you a whole bunch of pictures. So this is good if you think you have something, you can kind of, click on, if you've got that on there, you've got chaff flower. And this one's actually, photo was by Chris. That's kind of fun. And then you can also see the maps on where it's affected. These ones are state laws against that plant, and then this is the distribution map of it. If you're in one of these counties, one of these green counties, there's a chance that there's chaff flower on your property. But this is a great tool. The next one that we have is very similar to this, but it's not just invasives. Let me check that real quick. Okay. So iNaturalist, this is probably my favorite app. So you can get this on your phone or you can use it on their website. I usually just have it on my phone. Um, and so this is citizen science too. So people make observations of what they see, and they can post it on this. And then people will check, like they'll try to, say what it is. They'll help identify it. Um, yeah, and they've got an app on your phone. Let me try to find the map real quick. If you click on Explore up on the top, you can go to Observations, and so you can see all the red are areas that have been I have identified observations on it. So, the Sahara Desert up in here, not whole lot of observations, but in North America, we've got a whole bunch of places. So you can search a few different ways. Species is the most common way to search. So these are all species observations. But a kind of funny thing about iNaturalist is people get really into it. Um, so this person, Alan Hortzman, has almost identified almost 2 million different posts on here, and observations. Reiner has the most observations at 350,000 observations at almost 10,000 different species. So the observations are the people making the point, and then the identifiers are the people going and saying like, okay, that is a blue jay, or oh, that is a white oak tree. In total, there's 226 million observations. So if we zoom in a little bit, this is where it gets more interesting. We're in Indiana. Just a little bit like Harrisburg. These are all the different observations, and it's overwhelming when you zoom out, but let's zoom in a little bit. Let's go to the SIU campus. So with this app, we will do what are called BioBlitz, and we used to do these on campus when I was at school down there at SIU. And so a BioBlitz is like a competition. Usually you have like a weekend or a week or a day, and you try to get as many observations as you can. So if we zoom in, this is Thompson Woods on campus. All the green dots are plants. All the blue are, I think it kind of depends. Blue are animal, red is insect, and then purple is fungi. So you can see all the different plants and animals we have on here. And if you want to be more specific and kind of weed out some of the results, you can make an area of interest. We can put it all in there. So if you want to know everything that was in Thompson Wood, you can see like sometimes people don't know what it is. So like someone just said that was an insect. There was a red-tailed hawk, monarch, um, some fungus on there, jumping spider. So there's a whole bunch of different stuff. And you can use this if you're trying to find kind of what's in your area, if you're looking for a specific plant or something. I use this a lot when I try to find different species of fish to catch. I really like smaller ornate fish. So like if we look up long ear sunfish, so you can look it up by the species, or like you can look up just hybrids, or you can look up the entire complex of the species. So if we look, these are all the long ear observations in southern Illinois. So if you go to any of these spots, there's a good chance you could find that there, which is kind of fun. Or if you're looking for a specific tree or something, this is also useful if you think you have something on your property, you can see where it's kind of around you. So if you think a tree is a pecan tree, let me look that up real quick. Pecan. Um, you think you have a pecan tree, but you're not quite sure, but you can see, hey, I'm in Anna, and there's a pecan tree right here, so maybe it is a pecan tree. Uh, it's fun to do that. The best kind of part of iNaturalist is it's kind of two different apps. So there's iNaturalist and then there's Seek. Um, this is great for helping identify plants plants in particular. It's really accurate or pretty accurate. It's not 100% accurate. Um, But this is another app. I know some people don't want too many apps on your phone. This is a great one to have if you just wanted to add one. I'll play this quick video if it plays. You just kind of hover over it and it gives a guess. There's like, what's that, 6 dots, 7 dots up on top. And the more you have, the more accurate it is. Sometimes, if you're holding up to a tree in the middle of winter and it's just you have a branch with a bud on it, might not get 100% accurate. It might just tell you like oak family or something like that. Um, I'll give you their best guess on it. So there's like lichens, and then once you do it, it'll show up in a second. Japanese maple, you can take a picture. Um, you can view that species if you want to learn more about that species. It'll give you a summary on it. The species name, its status, so that's an introduced species. Range map, which is important. Taxonomy, observations, and then the seasonality is a good one to have. So you can see that more people are seeing this. April, there's a whole bunch of people seeing this. Well, probably observing that because it's getting warmer out and they're coming out more, you know. But if there's like a plant species where there's no observations in the wintertime, like maybe that's not that right species. So you can help identify off that too. And cool thing, you can kind of see it over here. It'll give you lookalikes. So it says red maple or American sweet gum have very similar leaves, or silver maple is the next one. So it'll help you identify it if it's not right. Because you can look at it and it'll say, oh, it's Japanese maple, but you're looking at it and it's got, gumballs hanging off of it. Then it's a gumball tree. And then you can click on that and it'll tell you all about that. This is kind of fun. If you want to do it on your property. If you do make an observation, everyone can see it. But some people will like go around their property and they'll label everything. So let's just go by Shawnee College. So say this was your property. Let me scroll down a little bit. You can go around and you can make all these observations, and then that way you kind of have a map of what species are on your property and when you saw them and everything. So you can have a little uh, kind of track what's on there. And when you use Seek, you can just take a picture and post it on there, and it's super easy and identifies it and everything. If you get really into it, they've got badges. So like when you get like 5 reptiles or whatever, you get a little badge and you try to collect them all. That's a really fun one to do. And it's in my opinion, it's probably the best identifier with the camera. Other people use Google Lens a lot too. I haven't really used that one that much. The next one is what Chris mentioned before, Merlin. This is the same kind of observation sort of thing like iNaturalist, but they're different. So if you see a bird that you want to learn more about, you can identify by 2 different ways. So if you just see it, you can try to identify it by you can say how big it is, what color, what it was doing, and it'll try to give you a close match to that bird. Or if you just hanging out and you hear a pretty bird singing and you want to know what it is, you can leave your phone out and it'll record the sound. And it's got a really cool system. So it'll play the sound and it'll tell you what birds are singing in that area. And you can leave it out for 5-10 minutes and you'll get a ton of different birds singing that you don't even like recognize or you're not really like hearing. They're just kind of background noise. But it's really good if you want to learn bird calls because it'll give you their song and it'll kind of give you a few different versions of that song so you can kind of learn what it sounds like and everything. This is a really great app. You can use it online and offline if you download a package on there. Getting it set up is a little bit hard. You have to select your region and everything. But once you have everything, you're kind of just good to go, and you can hear all the different birds that are singing. It's a fun app if you're into birding or want to get into birding. Um, but yeah, that's a really great app to have. Okay, Chris got it. Okay. Um, next, the next I just have the Illinois Prescribed Fire Council. There's not a whole bunch of resources on this right now, but we're kind of trying to beef it up a little bit. Um, One thing that's really nice on here is they've got a contractor list for fire. I know some of you are not in Southern Illinois or you've got properties elsewhere. This just kind of gives you a list of some contractors that are doing fire, along with EBAs. If you're kind of around uh, St. Louis area, there's the Great Rivers Prescribed Burn Association, or if you're down in Southern Illinois, we got the Southern Illinois Prescribed Burn Association. And another thing they do on this, which I think is unique to our state, is every year, not every single person does this, but a lot of people will submit their fire data. And so we have a map of everyone who has burned in Illinois. I think this goes back at least 10 years. The oldest one I found was about 10 years ago. So these are every spot that's been burned in Southern Illinois by an organization, which is really cool to see how many burns are actually got done, but also you can see how much actually needs to get burned on top of that. Um, That's interesting if you want to go check somewhere out that's been burned. If you're weary about it, you can go to one of these places. Most of it is public land. So these are all, um, you can click on it and get the information. So this was a Forest Service burn. It was just about 1,000 acre and it was burned like 4 years ago. So it just gives you the minimal amount of information on it, but you can go check those out if you're interested in seeing what a prescribed burn looks like after the burn. So the next one is the Illinois Extension. They do a whole bunch of stuff for landowners. If you're not in with them, you got to get in with them because they'll teach you anything you want. They do a ton of different classes. They have a ton of different programs. If we click on the event, um, you can by county, so you can say, I'll just do Williamson County because it's right at the bottom. Easy to find. Maybe I won't. And then just press apply. And this is, you could pick a date or whatever if you're looking for something to do in a weekend. Um, these are all just different classes that they do. Livestock Quiz Bowl. There's a prescribed fire thing at Wren Lake. Um, Plants of Concerns doing something. So this is a good way to learn something new and meet, like-minded individuals that can help you with your property or, meet a new friend. This is a pollinator thing, container gardening with native plants. So they've got some cool classes, and they also have some cool programs. This is the Master Naturalist program. If you guys aren't familiar with it, I don't know the best way to describe it, but it's kind of like Boy Scouts for adults. So you take a whole bunch of classes. It's like a year-long thing. And you learn all about and the naturalist one you learn all about plants and animals and stuff. And then once you complete everything, they ask you to do like volunteering stuff. And Chris, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But to keep your like INAT or master naturalist status, they ask you to do some volunteering every year so you keep your skills up. And it's a really good program. People learn a lot from that. And then the next one is the Beginning Forest Landowner Program. This started a couple years ago, and I think they're still kind of working out the kinks on how they're going to do it next year. Um, but it's like a year-long course pretty much, and it teaches you everything you need to learn about being a forest landowner. And this is great if you lived on a wooded property your whole life, or you just got your first one. It'll teach you everything you need to know land management wise, about your property. Uh, that's a great one to have. Okay. The next one. Um, okay. So Web Soil Survey, this is produced by NRCS. This one, uh, I don't think there's a version you can use on your phone for this. And if you did, it would probably be very complicated. It's a very temperamental governmenty website. Um, so you just have to look up Web Soil Survey. It's through NRCS and the USDA. And to get going, you have to just click Start WSS, which is Web Soil Survey. Um, Let me go back a little bit, or let me start new. Forgot how to do this. Well, we'll just go back a little bit. So it starts you out on a big map of the US, and you have a weird cursor. And to zoom in on this, you just have to make a square. Oh, that's not right. Let me reload this real quick. All right. Well, it's not working right now. It's a very temperamental website. Um, yeah, you kind of just make squares until you zoom in where you want to go. And then once, I'm gonna try to restart this. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, so here we go. So yeah, you just kind of click and zoom where you want to go. We already have an area of interest highlighted that I picked up before. Um, but this website can get kind of confusing. It's got a lot of different functions once you kind of learn how to use them. So once that's once you're zoomed into your property or whatever you want to learn about, you need to click AOI, and you can either make a square or a funky shaped polygon. So here we'll just do the square, and we'll zoom in on this property again. And then once you have your area of interest, you got a few tabs up on top. So first, we'll go to the soils map. Um, this gives you kind of there's a lot of different numbers on here, but on the left-hand side, it breaks it down to how much of each soil type you have. And if you don't know anything about soil, it gets very specific on there. Um, Down to like the different slopes and everything. Around Southern Illinois, we have a lot of Hosmiller silt loam. That's the 214. And then each one of them, there's going to be a number after that, and that's going to be the slope of it. So like we've got 14B, which is 2 to 5 slope percentage, 214C2, which is 5 to 10% slope eroded, and then 214C3, which is 5 to 10% slopes severely eroded. So this breaks it down to how many acres each kind of polygon is, and then what percentage of that area is that. So, and then if you scroll down to the bottom, so this total AOI is 119 acres, um, which is probably pretty close, but I wouldn't get, exact numbers off this. Well, there's a little bit of margin of error. So once you have your map made, you can click on type of soil it is, and it'll break it down with really scientific dive numbers on here. I'd say if you have some questions, I would just take, Hosmiller silt loam, and I would just Google that real quick. If there's anything detailed you want to learn about it. Um, yeah, so that breaks it down. Then if you go to the top again, it goes to Soil Data Explorer, and it gives you a whole bunch of options. Each one of these has a drop-down menu. Um, there's a couple cool things we can look up on here. Not really forestry related, but they've got building site development stuff on here. You can click on soil report right there on the left side or on the right side of the box. And it's a little slower of a website. It can take a minute for it to think. It looks like we froze it. We'll reload that. Okay, we'll close that tab and we'll look at our other map. Okay, we'll close that one too. We'll start over again. All right, here we go. So we're at Soils Explorer and go to Suitabilities and Limitations. Go to Construction Land Development. Here we go. So say you want to build a little pole barn to park your new tractor in. You can do small commercial building, which I think that would be what it is. And view description, view rating actually. All right, now it's not working. We'll go to somewhere else. We'll go to vegetative production. I always like to look at the black walnut suitability index. I'm not growing any black walnut, but okay, something's not working on here. One time. Well, we might not be able to see our result on this go. It's not working for some reason. But normally, it'll kind of give you a color code on this map. It's going to be green, yellow, or red, and it'll show you kind of how that site is. Hopefully, our other ones will work. If we go to properties, it gives you some more drop down menus over here. Ecological sites. I don't know if this one really does anything. But soil reports another good one. And we're going to go to vegetative production productivity and forest land productivity with site index base view soil report. So this one's working. So you've got your property right over here, but you want to know how good the timber is going to grow on it. You're going to look right on here. So each soil is going to really affect how trees are going to grow. Let me pull this up real quick. So if anyone that doesn't know what site index is, there's going to be a base. It's usually 25, 50, or 100 years. Around here, we have a base age of 50. And so if we're looking at white oak, which usually people use because that's going to be the most valuable common tree around here. Um, so on the low end is 30. If we go to 50 years, we have a site index of 30. Every tree, every white oak tree is going to be about 30 feet tall at 50 years. On the high end, if we have a site index of 80 at 50 years, that's going to be 80 feet tall. So that's a big difference between 30 and 80. That's going to be, different volume between the two. So if we're looking at Hosmiller Silt Loam 14B, white oaks have a site index of 72. So at 50 years, 72 is going to be 72 feet tall, but we're going to extrapolate on that after 100 years. We're going to be, what's that, like 105 feet tall. So you can actually use this to kind of date your forest. If you have a clinometer or just a range finder, you can try to find out how tall your trees are, and you can go off that if you have the site index. Um, if you don't have a tree core. So yeah, usually around here it's white oak and red oak that we use, and it'll kind of differ a lot between the sites. So like on the 214B, the red oak's at 75 and the white oak's at 72. But if we scroll down here a little bit at 214C3, red oaks are only at 55, but white oaks are at 71. So the white oaks stayed about the same, but the red oaks lost about 20 feet over that 50 years. This is good if you want to grow timber on your site. If you're buying a new property and you're going to see how fertile the land is or whatever, this is good for looking at that. Or if you had this property for a long time and you just didn't know why, the trees over here aren't growing as fast, you can look at that site index. Now, with the site index too, just because it's growing taller doesn't mean that it's growing wider. So you could have taller, skinnier trees, depending on a lot of reasons. Or it could be the same exact size. It all just depends on that micro site on how it's going to grow. Um, yeah, so it kind of varies a lot. So this site index is only 46 and 47 at 339 B3. That's this little corner right here on the left side. So over here, you don't want to plant your trees. But the 214B is growing at 75 and 72. Where is that at? Right here. Even though they're right next to each other, they're growing very different. Let's look at this site index of the 307 3072A. That one doesn't have a site index of cleanly floods. But if you look, all your row crop and ag is going to be on the more productive sites, and then your lower productivity sites are not going to be in ag. They're going to be probably turned into a pond or going to be a fence row. Um, that's an interesting way to look at your property. And that's the site index. The next one, this is Onyx. Um, this one is the only paid app. They go on sale a whole bunch. Um, it's a subscription base, but I think it's around $2 a month if you get the Onyx Hunt. Um, I don't really use it for hunting, but I use it a lot on looking at landowners' properties and everything. Um, and so this takes parcel data from the county and it breaks it down. Uh, let's zoom in. So this is the tree improvement center on campus, right here. There's different layers you can have. In Illinois, you can do private lands, government lands, land access, and hunt zones. So let's turn off government lands for a second. In this one, there's an off-road one and a backpacking one, but I think the best bang for your buck around here is going to be the hunt one. You can turn on different road accesses and everything. There's a whole bunch of different layers you can put on. Click on trees and soil. You can look up historic wildfires, and actually, if you go to Crab Orchard, you can see where they've had their wildfires. Down and over here and over here, which is interesting. And let's go back over here. Turn that off. So you can kind of look around. If you do live in a different state or a property in a different state, your membership only comes with one state, but you can upgrade it. And I think you can get, yeah, upgrade the elite and you can get all the states. But what this is really good for is just if you've got neighbors or you don't really know your property line or you just got a property you're not quite sure, this will show all the rough property lines. Um, I wouldn't use this, if something's right on the line, it might not be 100% accurate. If you want to get 100% accuracy, get a surveyor out to your property and double check everything. Uh, but it also gives you information on the landowner. So we'll just click on Robert Gray and Mary's Gray property. It gives you the owner's name. Sometimes this is actually a lot of the times this is in a trust, so it'll be like a trust name or something like that. And it gives a taxable address. So if you want to, you don't know the people that own the property right next to you, you can send them a letter. And it also gives you the acreage on it, coordinates, elevation, stuff like that. Um, then you can get the weather. That's a radius. Can be slow, but I'll give you the weather if you need to know. Um, say you want to go out to, you don't live on your property, you want to go out to it, but you don't want to go out if it's rainy. This will give you a pretty good um, estimation of the weather. There's a lot of different tools you can use with this. You can search up different properties, either private or public. I think Barb's on this call. So you can look up landowners by their last name. We can go over and just click on it and it'll take you to that property. I hope she doesn't mind me using her property. So this is her property. You can click on that. And this will give you, and this is all like public record stuff. So sometimes it's not 100% accurate. If the land has changed owners in the last few years. But she's got what 417.41 acres. Let me turn on public land real quick. So this gives her border of her property and everything. And say she didn't have Dorothy's Brendelman's number, she could click on that and then she could send them a letter if she needed to, which is really great. You can also create polygons on this map. This is really good if you're going to have contractors come out and you want them to treat an invasive area. You can draw a polygon on here real quick and it'll give length of it. So say right here, there's a whole bunch of autumn olive. You can create a polygon, you can save it, you can change the color, you can say the blue is where the autumn olive is, and it'll actually give you the elevation change on there. And that's good if you've got like you're trying to build trails or something on there. The total distance is 700 yards, and you're gaining and losing elevation on there. So that's pretty cool. And then you can just free draw something too. So you want to draw that, uh, create a polygon. That's this one up here on the right. Um, and you can do the same thing there. You can change the colors on it, and you can really kind of detail what you want to do on your property. You can make maps, trail maps, and everything. You can add a point. So say right here, there's a really cool rock that you like sitting on. You can make a point there to that point, and you can change everything on there too. So if you want to, they're mostly made for hunting, so you can just leave it as an X. You might have to get creative a little bit. Let's see what's on here. Bedding area. So maybe there's chaff flower there. You want to mark, and the caribou is silkgrass. Just delete that. One tool that you can use on the computer, which I love using on my phone, is you can shoot an azimuth. So there's a compass portion. So say you want to walk in a straight line, you can grab your phone and it'll shoot an azimuth on the map, and you can see what's going up there. So say you want to find like the corner of your property, you can look at the corner of your property on the map, and it'll shoot a line to say a tree. So you know that tree is the corner of your property. And that's really good if you're making trail or you're making fire line or something on there. It's really useful. You can also change the base map. I usually do the hybrid, but they just have a satellite if that's what you want, or a topo map. This is better if you're like going to public land and you want to hike around. You can see the national forest right here. And then if you upgrade, you can get a whole bunch of other stuff, but it's mostly geared towards hunting, but it's really great for managing your land and making maps um, for your property. And you can share these maps as well. So like if I wanted to say I went out to Barb's property and I made this map for her, I could share that information with her and she could have that as well. Now the free version of that is just Google Maps or Google Earth, I should say. We're gonna look back at that portion of Trail of Tears real quick. It's all wonky. So I like to use this to kind of go back in time. So we're gonna look at this spot right here. There we go. So this is the Tree Improvement Center on SIU's campus. It looks just like a normal forest. Over here, not much is going on. There's a little bit of a pine stand over here. So you can kind of see it's in segments a little bit. But just from a bird's eye view, it doesn't look like much is going on. Let me clear this real quick. If you click, this is what it normally looks like. You can kind of see the segments up on here. There's a ruler if you want to measure distance. That's good if you want to, figure out how far everything is. So if you click on this road, you can make a segment. So that's about 500 meters. That could be useful. But the main thing is if you kind of click the globe with the circle around it, you can look at historic aerials. And this is great because everything, the forest takes a long time to develop. What's going on or what happened 30 years ago is affecting on what's happening today. So if we look at this normal stand, we'll start clicking back a few years. And if you look, doesn't that look kind of weird? So this whole thing is actually a walnut plantation, black walnut plantation, and all the trees are planted in a row. From the earlier aerial, you can't really tell that. Looks like a normal canopy. If you look closely on the bottom, you can kind of see the horizontal rows. But if you click further back, you can see the trees are a lot younger. So this is over 10 years ago. Click on back even more. Drag this a little bit. Depending on the year, the quality is different. So 2007 was a little blurry. 2006 was really blurry. This is 2005, and you can see that these trees look really small. You can kind of use this to date your forest. I think 1998 is kind of the end of it. So you can see this stand looks very, very different than what it looks now. And that was just 25 years ago. I learned that the 1985 map is pretty much just blurry unless you zoom really far out. I think they've got certain spots that have it better than others. But let's go back to that 1998. Um, if you look at that versus 2023, which is the latest one they have over here, you can see how the forest has changed. And that's good if you want to look back and kind of see how your forest has developed over time.